So, do you want to hear a bedtime story about the sleepy rabbit Peter, who went into the farmer's garden to steal the vegetables? Now, if you truly want to enjoy this beautiful fairy tale, fluff your pillow, get under your sleeping covers, relax, and close your eyes. For this journey into the magical world of dreams to succeed, you must also do the following. With your eyes closed, focus on your breathing. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, try not to think about the magnificent gardens, rabbits, farmers, cows, cats, and dogs. Feel the breath right under your nose and try again. And once again, breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Well done. Now it's story time, and we are about to enter the magical dreamland where rabbits speak, and where once lived a naughty bunny called Peter. Once upon a time lived 4 little rabbits named Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They were exactly your age and happily lived with their mother underneath the roots of a huge fir tree, where the air was always fresh and the earth felt soft and comforting beneath their little fluffy feet. One quiet morning, Mommy Rabbit told her little ones, "Now, my sweeties, you may play in the fields or down the lane, but never, and I mean never, should you go into Mr. McGregor's garden." Then, with a basket in her paw and a gentle smile, Mrs. Rabbit left to the baker's to buy a loaf of brown bread and 5 buns, leaving her babies to their little adventures. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, being good little bunnies, went down the road to gather blackberries, enjoying the peaceful morning and the sound of the breeze rushing through the leaves. Peter was a naughty and curious little rabbit. At night, while his siblings were sleeping, he would always think about playing games. That day, however, Peter, feeling a bit tired and only slightly naughty, decided to go straight into Mr. McGregor's garden, knowing it was full of delightful treats to nibble on. he squeezed under the gate and found himself in the garden surrounded by various vegetables, such as carrots, lettuce, potatoes, spinach, onions, and tomatoes. The garden was a real heaven for Peter. The green leaves rustled softly as if welcoming him to a place of comfort and peace. First, he ate some crisp lettuce. Its coolness soothed him as he was slowly chewing tiny bites. Then he nibbled on some beans and radishes, enjoying their fresh taste as he hopped quietly through the garden. After eating his fill, Peter yawned, felt a little sleepy, and thought about finding a cozy spot to rest. He was full, his eyelids were heavy, and he gently lay down on the soft green grass in the shade. He breathed in and breathed out. Breathed in and breathed out, just as you did now. The grass reminded him of his warm and cozy bed at home. Soon he drifted off into the world of fairy tales and enjoyed a calm summer breeze on his furry paws. After hours and hours of restful sleep, Peter suddenly stopped feeling the warm and soothing sunshine on his face. He opened his sleepy eyes slowly. There was a huge figure in front of him, covering the sun and creating a shade over the tiny bunny. It was Mr. McGregor, who was working in the vegetable patch that afternoon. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees, planting young cabbages. He was old, and he too was feeling sleepy in that magical garden. Peter stood up slowly without making any noise and ran in the opposite direction. His little paws softly patted the ground as he rushed between the rows of vegetables, trying to remember the way back to the gate, but feeling more lost with every step. As Peter was hopping further and further away through the garden, he noticed various vegetables growing around him, each looking yummy. The garden seemed like a huge maze to the small bunny. To memorize his way back to the gate where he came from, Peter started counting the rows of vegetables he passed along the way. First, he started counting the rows of carrots that had their orange tops sticking out of the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then he counted the beans, swaying so slightly in the breeze. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. As he was passing the rows of soft and green leaves of lettuce, he whispered, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Peter found himself slowing down, feeling sleepy, and almost forgetting that he was trying to find his way out. He passed by the peas, small and round, nestled in their pods. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Finally, walking through the big and leafy cabbages, he continued to count softly as he moved to the other side of the garden. 31, 32, After counting all the vegetables he could see, Peter realized he had wandered further into the garden than he had intended. But somehow, counting made him feel more at ease, even though he was far from home. He saw the parsley with its feathery leaves dancing lightly in the wind when he realized he was utterly lost. In haste, Peter lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other one among the carrots, leaving them behind as he tried to run faster. After losing his shoes, Peter ran on all four legs and started hopping along the way. He hopped over the small fence he stumbled upon. Suddenly, he found himself trapped in a gooseberry net. His new blue jacket with shiny brass buttons had become stuck. Peter wriggled and struggled to set himself free, but as a wave of fear washed over him, he shed a few tears. He began to wonder if he would ever be able to escape. Hearing Peter cry, the friendly sparrows flew down from the trees to cheer him up. "Just try a little harder," they whispered, "and you'll get out of the net in no time." With one last effort, Peter wriggled out of his jacket and slipped away, leaving the jacket behind as he rushed into the stable, where he found a watering can to hide in. The watering can smelled of water, but it was a safe place. Peter sat there quietly for a moment, catching his breath and feeling the cool metal against his fur, letting his mind drift as he thought about how cozy his home would feel. Mr. McGregor was sure Peter was hiding somewhere in the stable, so he began to turn over flower pots and look under the shelves, his movements deliberate and slow, as if he, too, was feeling the weight of the day. Peter was huddled inside the watering can and tried to stay as quiet as possible. There were traces of water in the can, and he was starting to feel cold. Unable to control it, Peter sneezed softly, and Mr. McGregor turned towards him. In a flash, he jumped out of the can and jumped through the nearest window, knocking over 3 potted plants along the way. But he didn't stop to look back. He just kept hopping, his little feet carrying him further away from the danger. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, so he gave up the chase and went back to his work. While Peter found a quiet corner in the garden where he could rest for a moment and catch his breath. Peter sat down on the cool ground. The gentle rustling of the leaves above created a soothing melody, making him feel more and more at ease. Peter's eyes grew heavy as he listened to the calming sound of the garden, and for a moment he almost forgot about his little adventure, thinking about how nice it would be to curl up in a cozy bed, just like yours. Slowly, Peter stood up and began to wander again, trying to find his way out of the garden. But every step felt slower and heavier, and the garden seemed to stretch out in front of him like a long, winding dream. At last, Peter found the gate, and with a sigh of relief, he slipped underneath and into the woods beyond, where everything felt familiar and safe. The trees whispered as Peter made his way home. The cool, quiet path leading him back to the big fir tree where his family lived. When Peter finally reached the big fir tree, he was so tired that he could hardly keep his eyes open, and his mother, seeing how weary he was, tucked him into a bed with a warm, soft blanket. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail were all already asleep, their breathing soft and slow, and he listened to them as he closed his eyes and took a deep, slow breath in and out. Mrs. Rabbit kissed Peter on the forehead and whispered good night softly, telling him that everything was all right now and that it was time to rest. Peter felt warm and safe, and as he listened to the quiet night sounds, he thought about the leaves, the gentle breeze, and the peaceful garden, all of which seemed to be so distant now. He yawned, took one more deep breath in and out, feeling his body relax and his mind drift off to dreams, just like you did now, little one. The room grew quieter, and the night wrapped around them like a blanket, bringing peace and rest to all who were inside. And as he drifted off to sleep, the whole house was quiet too, with everyone, including Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, peacefully dreaming of fields and gardens. The moon shone softly through the window, casting a calm, gentle light over the little rabbits as they slept soundly in their warm beds. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail were sleeping. Peter the rabbit was sleeping. Mommy Rabbit was sleeping. Birds were sleeping. Butterflies were sleeping.